step inside these saunas and you can detox that out naturally rather than your body thinking that it has to do that because it's not doing that normally, right? Your immune system actually boosts when you're inside these saunas. I'm really excited about talking to you in this environment just because I know that yourself, as well as many of your doctors, as well as colleagues throughout the years, have touted the benefits of infrared saunas specifically, right? And the sauna use on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
And so we're going to dig in a little bit and talk about the benefits of an infrared sauna.
Good.
And love to get your take on it, your experiences,
for sure.
your
I'm
expertise.
A big fan.
And very nice.
All right. So
absolutely.
But you're an expert too, so I want to get your take on it. And I was thinking, maybe since that's what you do, since that's, what HOTWORX specializes in, maybe I can be the interviewer role and just kind of sprinkle in some of our experiences. Is that okay?
That sounds great.
All right, cool.
That sounds awesome.
And now this is the time of year to get in and experience what infrared sauna is about.
Yeah.
Because as you can hear, I've been doing a lot of hooping and hollering, but I had a little bit of bronchitis going on. So I'm thinking I need to get in there for all the health benefits. So is it okay if we dive right in?
Yeah, let's dive right in.
All right. So talk to us, Nate, about some of the benefits of infrared sauna use.
Well, let's start out with just like what infrared is, because I was a little, we run into it all the time. Everybody asks the question of what's the difference between an infrared sauna and a traditional, conventional sauna. And I like to, it's kind of a crude example, but when you think about an oven, a convection oven, the goal of a convection oven is to take a turkey, or as we're coming up on Thanksgiving.
I know you're making me hungry now.
Every time. The goal of getting your turkey to a certain temperature on the inside, right, so that it's safe to eat, okay? Yeah. Well, infrared saunas actually work the opposite way. They actually heat from the inside out. They penetrate your body up to 1.5 inches. Which allows you to be able to warm up your core body temperature at a higher rate. So that warm-up process is like that.
That's fast.
So that you're making sure that you're getting right into your workout, right into your calorie burn as soon as you're stepping into inside of a sauna. So even if you're not working out, right? At HOTWORX, we work out inside the saunas. But even if you're not working out, what it does is it basically accelerates your body into a process of burning those calories and being able to do all of the things that your body naturally does when it does get into a state of warmth. And so absolutely fantastic way of being able to detox and just feel better in general, pain going away, a whole lot of different things. And infrared specifically is actually a form of radiation, which makes people a little bit nervous in the fact that it's radiation, but there's two different types of radiation, and there's a non-ionizing radiation and there's an ionizing radiation. Examples of ionizing radiation would be things like UV rays, right? We know that stepping out into the sun and staying out in prolonged sun exposure is going to give you sunburn and potentially cause skin cancer and those things. The reason why that's happening is because ionizing radiation will actually alter the DNA, whereas non-ionizing radiation does all of the things. It activates those cells, but it never changes the DNA to be able to cause disease and cause harm to the body. So it's activating the cellular processes in your body without harming those cellular processes. So so there's no worries, even though it's a radiation, right? It's a form of radiation that will actually benefit you in the long run, which is fantastic.
That is kind of cool. I have to comment on one thing you said. Well, two things.
Sure.
The fact that it penetrates 1.5 inch deep is crazy. And it starts your calorie burn right away. Unlike a traditional workout where you're going to have to warm up for a bit before you really burn anything. It's like your body's already like, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so cool.
So when you think about it from a standpoint of like losing weight or toning and those sort of things, right? We give everybody the process of like, we combine our main workouts are isometric workouts. Isometric is just a fancy way of being able to say you're holding postures. So think of yoga, Pilates, we've got bands workouts, a buns workout, specifically focused on the glutes, the hamstrings, and the quads, and a bar workout. So all of these workouts are focused on holding postures, which if you think of, nobody disputes the quality of a plank to be able to work out your core, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why that is because it's an isometric posture to be able to hold to that posture. And what happens is you actually going to gain and maintain your lean muscle mass more doing isometric postures than you will your traditional, I'm going to do a bunch of workouts. Now, or a bunch of lifting and dynamic. However, obviously, if you want size, right, you've got to do more weight, less reps, right? If you want to make sure that you're building muscle, right, it's a whole different game plan.
Yeah.
But the combination of working out in those isometric postures inside of an infrared sauna, which, as we stated, starts to work those cellular processes. Specifically, what the cellular process that it works on is the detoxification of your system. And detoxing specifically, because it's going 1.5 inches, it's not only detoxing your skin, which, any sweating will do. It's actually detoxing and creating what experts call kind of a fat sweat, right? Where it actually deoxidizes your fat cells, so that your fat cells are getting out of your system easier through respiration. So the combination of the isometric workouts and building this 30% more muscle inside these saunas, and then in addition to that, being able to focus on the fat and making that expel out of your system, people are toning up like crazy.
Okay.
And it's fantastic.
That's crazy. When you just said 30% more muscle, that is fantastic, because we know the more you build muscle, the more fat you're going to burn, because it uses it as fuel. And then on top of that, it's just a fat burning kind of machine anyway.
Exactly.
Wow, that's fantastic. And with the holidays coming up, that's going to be something that is on so many people's New Year's resolution list, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So, oh my gosh, this is good stuff, Nate.
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
good stuff. Yeah.
So we're having a really good time of being able to help people do that. And people are losing weight, they're toning, they're losing pant size, like all of those different things that people step into a gym for, right? Like they want to do all of those things. But because the infrared does so much more within our systems, people are gaining so many other benefits,
of course,
that I never really kind of took into account until we started seeing people come back, and we started digging in a little bit more into the research and being like, wow, there's, I've got one, Kim specifically, is a gal that started with us. And she hadn't slept through the night in 7 years. And she came back to us within the first week of her joining. And she said, I slept through the night for the first time in 7 years.
Wow.
After utilizing these infrared saunas.
People
sleep better.
I have to say, that's incredible. Because we know research shows that if you're not getting enough sleep and the right kind of sleep, it dramatically increases your risk for heart attack, stroke, dementia, all the chronic diseases. So that's huge. I mean, it makes me wonder, as she continues coming to HOTWORX and getting in there and getting it done, how quickly is she going to restore optimal health and wellness? And even how quickly is she going to take maybe years off her biological aging internally?
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy stuff.
Yeah. People's blood pressure is coming down too. That's another benefit of the infrared sauna. Is the nitrous oxide will actually expand your blood vessels to be able to create better circulation, which then makes the organs work better. And so that you're in a process of the circulation working better, your lung capacity is better, your heart capacity is better, and you're in a situation where that blood pressure comes down. Jeanette is one individual that I can think of right now that has actually come off of her medication.
Yeah, because of that. Makes me want to roar.
Roar! I know, right? Well, we've talked about in the past that those statin medications, right, are what lead to a lot of the issues with, dementia.
Huge contributing, my gosh. It just sucks the cholesterol out of our brain. It's like Swiss cheese, and our brain needs that. So, when you give the body what it needs, it knows what it needs to do to recover. Yeah. I'm reminded of several of the docs here, our medical director, our naturopathic physician, our chiropractic physician, myself. I mean, we've all used infrared sauna. We've got family members that have been dealing with cancer or are still going through cancer treatments, and they're taking more of a holistic approach, functional medicine, lifestyle changes, oxygenation, infrared sauna. In fact, one of our docs has an infrared sauna at her home. Our other doc is talking about getting one for her place. I mean, the health benefits are just, they're so rich, and there's so many of them, Nate. I'm I was going to say, I'm surprised more people don't know, but hence the need for this show.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, because, and it's enjoyable too. You go there, you make friends, you get supported. Like, talk about a transformation in your body, which, you know, increases almost an immediate transformation in your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win-win all around.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it's huge.
And what I love about it is the fact that you can basically search, and I'll tell people this all the time, is basically search infrared sauna and X, whatever people are dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever, maybe chronic disease, chronic pain, chronic health issues that they might be dealing with, or, you know, even acute things. And you'll discover that there's a lot of research out there that's actually, it's helping those things. You know, autoimmune. I mean, one of my favorite stories, I use this story almost every time that I'm talking about infrared in general, is Tammy is one of our beloved members. She got started, all of our members are beloved, but one of our members that got started originally with us back in the day. And she came in just hoping to be able to do something a little bit different. Mm-hmm. She had pretty extreme arthritis, to the point where in the morning she'd have to kind of pry her hands back open to be able to utilize them, and just go. She had this process in the mornings of being able to kind of reanimate her body. However, it was so bad that to the point where even though she grew up playing golf since she was 7 years old, was a golf instructor for a lot of years, she couldn't hold on to the club anymore and therefore play golf because of her arthritis.
And that was such a huge part of her identity.
It was, yeah.
Core part of her identity.
So because she couldn't do that as well as other things, and she would walk and those sort of things, you know, like, you know, they got a little pup, you know, so they're walking that dog on a regular basis. And, but she knew that she needed to do something different to be able to, like, make sure that, I mean, she's 60, mid-60s, 65, 67, I think. She knew she needed to do something different. And she stepped inside of HOTWORX and inside these infrared saunas. And she started doing the workouts, and little by little started kind of gaining a little bit more strength, a little bit more mobility, a little bit more movement, to the point where within like 9 to 12 months after she got started. Now, hear that, 9 to 12 months.
It's a progression.
It takes time, right? It's not going to be like when you walk in. Sometimes we've got some members that walk in, or some people that walk in the infrared saunas, and all of a sudden they're like, within a week, they're like, my back pain is gone. My, you know, like it makes me feel so much better. Doesn't always happen that way. So 9 to 12 months after Tammy consistently coming on a regular basis, it was to the point where she couldn't even hold her husband's hand.
Wow.
And she would just, like, the things that she loved, she couldn't do anymore.
And it's such an intimate act.
Yes.
You know, it's sweet, it's simple, but it just deepens intimacy.
Yeah.
Right? So that must have been a huge loss for her, too. It was
a huge loss. However, 9 to 12 months after she started coming to HOTWORX and kind of doing that consistent infrared workouts and yoga and Pilates and doing a little bit of our blast, which is kind of just like an assault bike type thing. Yeah. And she comes up, and now just about every time she comes into the studio for a while, she'd be like moving her hands like this.
That's
and
huge.
Just like showing off the fact that she was moving them like crazy. And I'll never forget the first time that she came back in, and she's like, I played golf today. Yeah. And every time she plays golf, she tells me that she played golf because she's back to doing it. She's back, and she's got her handicap back even. She's doing phenomenal at it.
Wow.
Holding her husband Scott's hand. And I'm just so thankful, you know, that, yes, we stepped into this because we wanted to be able to help people lose weight, get toned, stay healthy.
Sure.
But ultimately, like, quality of life is at the center of all of that.
It is. Because, you know, what do they say? You know, a healthy person has 1,000 dreams. A sick person has but one.
Yeah.
You know, and when we start to see the quality of our life diminishing, you know, not only does it increase our risk for all the other chronic diseases, right? Because it's all about inflammation.
Yeah.
But then depression sets in, anxiety sets in. We lose our sense of self-confidence and self-worth. It affects our relationships, our intimate relationships, our friends, our family. So when you can, you know, reverse something that has taken such a toll on someone's life through simple strategic workouts with infrared sauna use, it really is transformative. And I know, you know, maybe that sounds, you know, like hyperbole, but it is true.
Yeah.
And I like the way you set level expectations too, because, for someone that's been dealing with chronic conditions, it could be joint pain, it could be arthritis, it could be diabetes, or, maybe obesity.
Sure.
When they've been dealing with something for years and years, it's not going to go away overnight. It's going to take, I think they usually say, estimate about 1 month for each year that you've had a condition.
Okay.
So, with her, 9, 12 months later, here she is getting back to doing the things she loves. And it all comes back to quality of life. Because if we don't have that, what do we have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So kudos to you and what you're doing. I mean, I love that you literally get to see bodies and minds transformed there.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what we do here, in a different context.
Yeah.
And, again, for so many people, though, they're like, wow, I've only been doing this week. I already feel fantastic.
Yeah.
A lot of that, too, is like detox.
Mm-hmm.
We have so much sludge in our body.
Oh, yeah.
And when we start to detox it, man, everything feels lighter.
Yeah, 100%.
Our mood, our body.
Yep. And inside of an infrared sauna, you actually detox way more. I think it's 7 times more heavy metals. So
Huge.
The mercury, the argon, all of the things that we want to get out of our systems, that happens at an accelerated rate inside of an infrared sauna. And there's so many people too that walk into our doors and they're like, well, I don't really sweat. And it's like, sweating's a natural part of what we do.
Yeah, it's how our body cools itself, for one thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's our natural detoxification process to be able to cleanse our impurities and, do all of those things. So if we're not sweating anymore,
that's a problem.
That's a problem. Okay. And what we find also is that when people start coming and they start going and regularly utilizing saunas, that they'll actually kick their detoxification process back into gear. Like I've had so many people that I sweat like crazy when they're inside the sauna. But now when I'm gardening, I sweat. Now when I'm doing these basic things.
But then they're like, geez, man.
Yeah. And it's not like, pervasive, right?
It's not like Chris Farley.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But it's basically kicked that back into gear for them, right? So it's an indicator to me that their body's healing.
Oh, yeah.
Their body is getting back into what it's naturally supposed to do.
From the inside out.
And so often we have, the toxins that we have in us. We talk about detoxification, but the reason why we have to detox is because there's toxins, right?
Everywhere. What we breathe, what we drink, what we eat, everything. Yeah. Toxic. We're one of the most toxic countries in the world, Nate.
Yeah.
And we store all of that stuff in our tissues. Our body works like a soldier, going to war, but it gets worn out. And when it starts to get worn out, what happens? We get symptoms. We start to get chronic conditions. So we need to take care of our body.
Yeah.
And, I like how you talked about sweating. I'm reminded of that beautiful glow that people get.
Yes.
And, our liver is, the biggest organ of detox, but our skin by volume is the second biggest organ of detox.
Yeah.
So, we need to get all of that junk that we're putting in us out of us. And it's at such an accelerated rate. Too, that infrared sauna allows people to do that.
And just as much as people have a plan to be able to, like a meal plan, right? A detoxification plan is probably equally as important.
Yeah.
Especially if those people are not putting the right things in their bodies, right? Like not only inadvertently we're going to get toxins, right? Because we're walking around on this earth. But in addition to that, we put a lot of it on ourselves.
Oh, for sure. Lifestyle stuff. Yeah. Absolutely.
So having a detox plan is important, right? Which is, through sauna use. And it doesn't have to be at HOTWORX.
But it's better if it's at HOTWORX. I mean, because there's the thing. You get the infrared sauna, you get the community that you're working out with, and you get the workouts. Yeah. It's fantastic.
I'm partial.
Oh,
right?
and you get Nate. You get Nate.
and you get Nate. Yeah, which is great.
It is kind of cool. I mean, you can own it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So many benefits.
Yes.
You've got the detox. You've got the enhanced calorie burn. Muscle pain, muscle recovery and pain relief.
Yeah.
You talked just a little bit about that.
Yeah.
You referenced it, with, some of your clients that have back pain or arthritis.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about muscle recovery and pain relief?
Because of the penetration of the infrared, and because you're stepping into a heated environment, and this is an infrared specific, but you're stepping into a heated environment, and therefore you're already going to have more flexibility. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people have pain because their mobility is off a little bit, right? So increased mobility inside these saunas is obviously going to take place, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have more ability to be able to move your body the way that you need to. Okay. Compound that by continually doing that, right? And you're getting that little extra push. You know, people may like experience touching their toes a little bit closer than they would outside of the sauna, inside the sauna, right? That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
When they step outside of the sauna, they may not have that additional mobility. However, by continued use, they'll have just as much flexibility outside the sauna as they did in the sauna. So, so much pain is tied to that mobility piece.
Oh, absolutely.
And being able to gain that additional mobility within these saunas is huge. But in addition to that, the infrared, what it does is it actually actively recovers your muscles while you're working out.
Man, that's so cool.
Right? Like, which is
that's
wild
so cool
to think about.
It is, actually.
Is while you're working out, you're getting an active recovery. So we recommend infrared too, and you'll see, at traditional gyms, you'll see people sitting in saunas like all the time after their workouts, right? Because they want to recover their muscles. But think about doing that all at the same time, right? Being able
saves you time. Oh my gosh, it's awesome.
Time is the greatest commodity that we've got, right? And we need to protect it. And so if we can do that at the same time. So what the infrared does is it basically recovers those muscles while you're working out. So not only are you getting a great pump, you're getting the great workout that you want to get, but in addition to that, you're not going to experience as much soreness. As your muscles are building, you're not going to, you're going to have that recovery process.
But I love the sore. It reminds me of something good I did. No, I'm kidding.
Well, and that's
if we can avoid it,
gone,
it's if we can avoid but that's a lot. That's a reason that a lot of people won't go back to the gym, especially if they're start. They're like, oh, I'm too sore. I don't want to go in.
Yeah.
So if you can minimize it.
And we have people too all the time. They're like, they throw around the word addicted. They're like, I'm addicted to this place. I'm addicted. And the reason is because they're getting a workout where they're burning a ton of calories. They're getting a great muscle building workout inside the saunas, doing the isometric workouts, right? And they're not feeling sore afterwards.
Yeah.
So they don't have to work their, it's already enough of a mental gymnastics to be able to get yourself back into a workout process.
Oh, for sure. The hardest part is getting in.
Yeah. But when you're stepping away from it, and then the day 2 soreness comes in, right? Day 1 is okay, Day 2, all of a sudden, you're having trouble sitting down on the toilet, right?
That's true.
And I think that obviously, again, growth, like size, you got to go through some of that, right? You got to experience that. Like,
no pain, no gain.
There's a place for that, right? There is a place for that. However, consistent, long-term longevity pieces, you're not going to do something that you're loathing.
No,
right?
No, you're not going to be whether it's a meal plan, whether it's a workout, and it is addicting because it releases. I mean, from a physiological sense, it releases endorphins, it releases dopamine. Yep. It's kind of like nature's way of positive reinforcement for taking care of our mind and body.
Yeah.
So hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was also reminded. Injury prevention, because if your body is more pliable because you're doing a mobility workout while you're working out, you're at a much lower risk of injury or re-injury, and re-injury is the most common type of injury. So I mean, this it fits the bill in so many ways for an accelerated workout, accelerated, fat burn, accelerated recovery, accelerated rate of, detox, as well as all the other benefits. You're saving time, of course.
Yeah.
So, I know some people aren't Tom Brady fans out there, although I am, but a big part of his longevity and his performance was because he took care of his body with mobility workouts. And I'm sure he did an infrared sauna workout.
Yeah,
that's why he still looks fantastic. And Aaron Rodgers is like, that guy needs a sauna. He needs an infrared sauna at HOTWORX.
I'll give him a call.
But give him a call. Hey, it's Nate Olson from HOTWORX in Bloomingdale.
He did beat up on the Bears for a long time, a lot of years.
He did.
But, if we can get him into an infrared sauna.
Yeah. But injury prevention, because when we're stretching, and when we're working through issues with mobility, we're much less likely to be injured.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it goes back to quality of life. So thank you for talking about, muscle recovery and pain relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two, the other thing that I want to make sure to mention, especially as we're getting into winter, as we talked about, we got our first snow yesterday.
Yeah.
And yet again today, it's a little bit gray outside, and we have very few sunny days within the winter months here within the Chicago area. And a lot of people deal with the seasonal affective disorder, and you can speak to this.
Absolutely,
way greater than I could.
It's
right?
it's a predominant experience that most people, in these climates experience, and a lot of times it's so subtle people don't realize it, but it can manifest, in just kind of a grouchy mood or difficulty sleeping, or maybe you're not being as productive, you're not as motivated, not as physically energized. So how does infrared help with that?
So infrared is actually the wavelength of the sun that actually produces that endorphin release that makes us happy when it's sunny outside. So when it's lacking, we don't experience that. So what happens is when people walk inside of an infrared sauna, they get that natural mood boost that they would normally get on a sunny day. So when people are experiencing days like yesterday, it's amazing how our members will just flock in because they want to experience that mood boosting effect of an infrared sauna. And which can then also produce benefits when it comes to depression. Like there's a lot of studies that infrared saunas will actually reduce depression, even in just one use, by up to 50%.
Wow, fantastic.
I stated that on a previous episode.
You did, but it bears repeating because that's huge.
Yeah, because depression is compounded, right? Compounded stress, right? That doesn't get dealt with properly. And when you can do things, obviously, the number one thing that you can do is to be able to talk things out and make sure that you kind of compartmentalize things in your brain the way that they need to be. But if you can do things physically to be able to impact that as well by stepping inside of an infrared sauna, why not do
Absolutely.
that as well?
It's way safer than the psychiatric medication. It's a lot less expensive than psychotherapy. It's incredibly beneficial. And most causes of depression are physical in nature. They manifest a lot of times in mental emotional symptoms for sure. But underlying most cases of depression, there's a physical component. It could be heavy metal toxicity. It could be an increased histamine response. It could be nutritional deficiencies. It could be poor sleep. And if you're able to step into an infrared sauna like at HOTWORX and get, up to, a 50% immediate relief from your depression, now you're going to feel better and you're going to be much more motivated to take care of your body and not just your mind. So that's huge. It's so much safer than, again, and more cost effective than a lot of other treatments. And people, I think they need to know, because most people don't know that infrared sauna therapy, I'll call it therapy in this case, has so many benefits, including how you feel and what you're thinking about.
Absolutely. And now, because it's been studied for so long too, you'll hear from all of the doctors out there, whether it's Dr. Cole or Dr. Hyman or Dr. Patrick, Rhonda Patrick, and they're stating that regular use inside of a sauna will actually reduce your chance of things like heart disease.
Oh, for sure. I was, I'm glad you brought that up. I was just going to ask you about cardiovascular health. So
for sure.
Tell us more.
Well, because of the increased circulation, right? Those, obviously your heart muscle is going to work better. When it has the blood flow that it needs, and it makes all of the organs work the way that it needs to. But because of the increased use of sauna, and because of the vast amount of research that we have behind it, it's actually reducing people's chances of sudden death from some pretty crazy things like heart disease, as well as or heart attacks, as well as stroke. In addition to that, it's just continuing to decrease things like Alzheimer's, dementia, for a lot of different reasons, and not just what we already stated in regards to like the endorphin release and those sort of things. But
can I pause and ask?
Yeah, absolutely.
So as it relates to the dementias, Alzheimer's being one category of that.
Sure.
Is it because, that infrared sauna increases, oxygenation? Now you've got an oxygen-rich environment up here. So your cognitive functioning is enhanced?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes total sense.
In addition to that, like heat shock proteins are huge, play a huge role in that as well.
Right. Yeah.
So the heat shock proteins are naturally occurring in our bodies, right? And we'll get heat shock proteins that increase production of them working out, obviously sauna use, anytime that heat is applied, right? And these heat shock proteins, they act as a way of being able to preserve protein molecules, okay? And as you know, right, the breakdown of protein molecules is something that plays a huge role in what happens in the dementia as well as, and Alzheimer's.
Yeah, for sure.
And by continuing to not only, what they're finding is these heat shock proteins will actually, the increased production of heat shock proteins will actually not only prevent those protein molecules from breaking down and causing those plaques, but they'll actually do some reversing of that as well.
Right? Now you're speaking my language. Anti-aging, longevity medicine, which we're huge proponents and practitioners of here at the Center for Integrative and Health and Wellness.
Yeah.
And so here you are, sharing with us, educating us, really about how this can reverse aging. I love this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure that it plays into neuropathy, which you guys are dealing with quite a bit.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the fact that not only it can bring down your blood pressure and get you off those statin medications, but also then play a role in being able to rebuild and break down those plaques that are within the brain that cause those issues. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just I can't recommend enough people getting infrared someplace. Yeah. Right? Just getting it someplace.
Yeah.
No matter where it's at, whether you're getting one in your home, like some of the docs that you've got here.
Yeah, we're, like I said, we're big fans of infrared sauna use because, the health benefits are just off the hook. It's just outrageous. Yeah. Outrageous. Yeah. Sure. And again, I think all of us know somebody whose lives have been touched by cancer or other chronic conditions. Yeah. And, one of the first things that, as functional medicine specialists, is helping people reverse chronic conditions, even successfully treat cancer, here in the way that we can do it, complementary. Infrared sauna is always a recommendation of ours. Man. Always a recommendation of ours.
Huge.
Yeah, it is huge. Hey, talk to us about, I know we talked about accelerated weight loss, which I'm really excited about. And I go to Orange Theory Fitness, right? Great. So I'm a big fan of that. Yeah. So at the beginning of the year, we always do what's called a transformation challenge. It's 8 weeks from about January 20th to March 20th, around there. And now my little brain is thinking, I'm going to win that thing this year because I'm going to get a membership at HOTWORX, and I'm going to build muscle by increase 30% and, accelerate my fat loss. I mean, I don't, need to lose weight, but if I can gain muscle and if I can preserve those proteins, I'm going to do it and get that nice little glow.
That's right.
They're going to say, Dr. Aimee, what have you been doing? I'm like, I'm eating right and I'm going to HOTWORX. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, all right. So don't tell anybody. That's our insider secret because I do want to win that transformation challenge.
You know that we're recording a podcast right now.
All right. All right. So just, go see Nate at HOTWORX, specifically in Bloomingdale. Yeah. So stress relief and relaxation too. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I mean,
do some people just come in and say, it's been a long day. I think I'm going to head over to HOTWORX, get some infrared.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you would think that doing a workout would put you in a situation where, obviously working out is introducing good stress to your body. Oh, for sure. Right? Yeah. And you would think that people walking out of there would just be more stressed, right? But everybody walking out, I call it the infrared smile, that people walking out of our saunas, they just did 40 minutes of work directly on their core. Nobody likes that, right?
We all hated it. I was doing planks and bear crawls this morning. I'm
Yeah. Nobody likes that for an extended period of time and trying to hold that and hold posture. However, right, walking out of the saunas, everybody just looks just glowing, their skin's glowing, the sweat's glistening off of them.
Oh, they've got the sauna saunter.
And it is, yeah. And they're feeling great. Literally that stress just seems to go away. It's people's happy place.
Yeah. It melts away. Yeah. Literally we could say it melts away because we're detoxing stress that gets stored in our body and that mental stress. It's a beautiful thing. And this time of year, oh my gosh, stress is accelerated. So many demands, 100%. Family, finances, travel, holidays, end of year work stuff. So huge stress reliever.
Which leads into just the immunity. process, right? Because what saunas do is they basically put you into kind of like a flu state, right? Is, if you think of any time that you've had the flu, right? You get the cold sweats and your body is doing what? It's trying to detox itself of all the garbage that's in your system, right? And it's largely due to stress, the toxins that we're putting in ourselves, right? It's no question, like, yes, does the cold play a factor in us, getting sick? Yeah, for sure, right? Because it introduces another stressor, right?
Yeah.
But stress in general with the holidays and all of that stuff, right? It compounds to the fact where it starts to break into that immune system. That immune system is not as strong. However, when you can step inside these saunas and you can detox that out naturally, rather than your body thinking that it has to do that because it's not doing that normally, right? Your immune system actually boosts when you're inside these saunas, which is fantastic.
It is.
And what we found too is that, like, when couples, like, typically, we live together with a partner, and when we get sick, the other one gets sick. Okay?
That's true. My wife a few weeks ago said, "Oh my God, you brought home the dragon disease. I feel like I've got spikes in my throat." I'm like, "It wasn't me." Said, yeah, it was.
And it just happens, right? Kids go back to school, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're bringing that
the
back
little
into
petri
the
dishes at
house.
school.
Yeah. But what we found consistently is that, like, friends of ours who come to and utilize the saunas on a regular basis, where the wife will do that on a consistent basis and the husband does not. Now, us guys, we're kind of like, we're little babies when we get sick anyway, right? Man flu is real. When we get a little bit of a cold, it's almost,
if man flu is real, so it's like exaggerated symptoms of the flu.
For sure. 100%, right?
It's not just to get you out of the honeydews, though, is it? All right.
No, absolutely not. But what we experience is that the wife, who's consistently been utilizing the infrared, is like kind of continues to live life the way that she was, right? Obviously, I don't recommend continuing to come in, right? If you're sick, don't come into the studio, right? But and the husband will be on his back in bed and not being able to function with the same symptoms. Or with more symptoms because he hasn't been detoxing his system and those sort of things. So we definitely see a difference, right? I can't break down the scientific fact for that.
Well, that's okay, but it makes me wonder, in such close proximity, we know that women, generally are better at taking care of their bodies, their minds, their lifestyle. And it makes me wonder, though, if some of your female clients are staying healthy, they're less likely to bring something home to their significant other, too. So, in a sense, indirectly, it's helping the household be healthier. Just saying. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I love that immune boost.
Yeah.
Hey,
so it's great.
What occurred to me? Can you talk a little bit about the difference between, infrared sauna and hot yoga? Because I think a lot of people think they're equating, hot with hot. And there are specific differences. I mean, I've done infrared sauna, I've done hot yoga, but can you speak just a little bit to that?
Well, as we've talked about before, I think that there's benefits to everything, right? But the major difference is if there's some people that come in and they just absolutely love hot yoga in the traditional environment, and I love that for them. The biggest difference is that in a hot yoga studio, is you're basically just taking that thermostat and you're turning that thermostat and cranking it up. Okay. So you're taking the ambient atmosphere and you're just making it hotter. So in a lot of cases, it will be the same, like humidity, the same, the same experience. It won't be any different than the normal, like walking outside in Florida in June. Right?
I would never go to Florida in June. Right? Way too hot.
Very similar to that. Okay. And what I explain to people is like the infrared aspect of it is like going to Arizona in June. Okay. Which again, some people would say, I'd never do that.
Yeah, right? Me either. I've done it. I wouldn't go back.
But 125 degrees, and that's typically what these saunas are set at, 125 degrees. And, but it's a dry heat because it's not, a conventional sauna is going to have the rocks in the corner. It's more of like a humid heat. Those are typically at 185 degrees. So a lot of people are like, oh, I just don't like saunas.
Yeah, you walk in, you're like,
you've walked into 185, right? You haven't experienced 125. a lot different. 60 degrees is very different. But then in addition to that, it's a drier heat. So when you're doing yoga inside of a drier heat, like an infrared sauna, like my wife will walk in and she steps into the sauna and she doesn't sweat until she starts moving. You know, 10 minutes in, she's moving, she's sweating like crazy. Okay. Whereas I sweat like crazy when anywhere, right? I walk in and I start my sweating glands.
That's good. You're detoxing. It's a benefit.
But a lot of female participants will experience that same thing. It's like they don't really even start sweating until they actually start moving around and those sort of things. Whereas some of those traditional, hot yoga environments, you'll start sweating immediately just because you're like,
you're walking in, you're just like, holy, I just walked into the rainforest. It's so humid. Exactly. And two, I was just reminded another difference is the deep penetration. Right. You're not getting that in hot yoga. As with infrared sauna, you're getting that immediate deep penetration and your body is just, changing from the inside out. So that's awesome. I will admit the first time I did hot yoga, and I think it's fantastic for so many people. Absolutely. It was so humid in there. I felt I was walking in the Amazon, and then I thought, gosh, I hope I don't get like a foot fungus or something from all the humidity and all the germs that are in here. But I expect the infrared sauna will kill that stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
So reduce, stress, reduce risk of Alzheimer's, and other dementias, heart attack, stroke, accelerated, fat burning, rapidly accelerated muscle, growth. It's fantastic. Depression risk being reduced. A great treatment for cancer because we want to detox our body. Talked about clear skin. Other benefits that come to mind,
those are the main ones that
because I can think of one. I'm thinking the social benefit. Right, because when people are in an environment where their body and their mind supported and there's a community there, and granted, people can go to HOTWORX anytime they want. Hey, I'm off at 2:30 a.m. I'm going to use my key card and get in, which is a benefit. We should talk about that. But when you're in there working out with other people, there's that sense of connectedness, and we all need that connectedness. So it's like, I know I sound like, I'm exaggerating it a little bit, but all the physical health benefits, the mental health benefits, the social benefits, and even financial benefits, because here's the thing, if you make an investment in a membership, right, you're going to stay so much healthier physically, mentally, and emotionally. What are you going to save on? Healthcare costs. Just saying. I'm just saying. But then you get all the benefit of a supportive community. And we know that has a direct benefit on our physical and mental health. So, and then ease of access. Tell us about ease of access for HOTWORX.
Well, for HOTWORX specifically, obviously you're accessing infrared 24/7. So you can go there whenever you want.
That's amazing.
Our workouts are played on virtual, through virtual instructors, through video. So they operate every 45 minutes or every 15 minutes, depending on what kind of workout that you're doing. So literally anytime that you want to, you can go in there and you can't sleep, go over and get some infrared, right? Just drop the kids off, just go ahead and go get your workout in. So the accessibility is huge. And to your point in regards to like paying now versus paying later, right? Because you're going to save on healthcare costs.
Dramatically. It's the biggest cause of bankruptcy in the United States is healthcare costs.
So however you're gaining access to infrared, I would just highly recommend it. Whether it's, like some of your doctors and some of our members have even since they've seen the benefits of infrared, they're like, I'm getting one of these in my house. And they do. And obviously that's a cost, right? But it's something that they're willing to do now because they don't want to pay later.
It's an investment. Right? When you're investing, there's a return on that investment. It's not even a cost. You're going to get, a very significant ROI on that.
Absolutely.
Well,
I'm glad that we had this conversation.
Me
and
too.
Just giving a little bit more insight into infrared, something I didn't know anything about 4 years ago. Wow. And
look at you now, boo.
And look at me now.
You're an expert.
Glowing.
I know. And you've got great hair and you're happy. So how can listeners and, viewers of the podcast learn more about HOTWORX?
So HOTWORX has 720 open locations.
Wow.
They've been around for 7 years. They're a franchise. 720 open locations. I own, with a couple of partners, location in Bloomingdale here. and we've had a blast in being able to provide people all these benefits for 3 years. I can't recommend enough going to a HOTWORX. Even if I didn't own a HOTWORX, I would recommend that people go to one to be able to access those benefits of not only the infrared, but also being able to work out inside those saunas. So
what's the best way? Can somebody just stop by and, if they've got questions,
or just go to HOTWORX.net. They can go ahead and check out wherever their local location is. It's a phenomenal experience, and definitely worth the investment in membership.
That's awesome.
With that.
So today's hot takes on health is hot in a different way.
Yeah,
it's all about the infrared.
Yeah,
I love it.